Good afternoon, friend. My name is Dr. Samir Dashputre, Assistant Professor, Government College, Arjunda. Today, we discuss the MSc 4th semester topic functional analysis, paper functional analysis. Topic is projection theorem. Before discussing the projection theorem, we need the following lemmas to prove the projection requirement for the projection theorem here. Now, first we establish a lemma very important to the projection theorem. Here we assume that here the lemma is let M be a closed convex subset of Hilbert space X and rho is infimum of norm X, then there exists there X belongs to M such that the norm of X it is equal to rho. The alternate statement of this theorem is, suppose M be a closed convex subset of Hilbert space X, then there exists a unique vector in M of smallest norm. Now this is our first lemma. We establish this lemma to proving our projection theorem. One by one we establish several lemma to establish our projection theorem. Now the proof of this theorem lemma, since M is convex subset, proof, since M is convex subset of X, convex subset of X, Hilbert space X, then by convexity of M, we have alpha x plus 1 minus alpha y belongs to M. We already know that what is the definition of the convex set. A set which is a subset of a Hilbert is a linear space is said to be convex if this line segment lies in the whole set here. So alpha x plus 1 minus alpha y belongs to M for all x and y belongs to M, and this alpha lies between 0 to 1. Now here we put this alpha, it is equal to half, then it implies that x plus y upon 2 also belong to this set M. This also belongs to this set M. Now we use the definition of rho. By definition of rho, there exists a sequence in M. There is a sequence of vectors that is xn in M such that the xn converges to x. The norm of xn converges to just 1 minute. It is the norm of xn converges to rho as n tends to infinity. N tends to infinity. Now, for x equal to xn, for x equal to xn and y equal to xm, we have xn plus xn divided by 2 belongs to m. Now xn plus xn by 2 belongs to m here, and the norm of xn plus xn by 2 is greater than or equal to rho by the definition of rho here, or this can be written as xn plus xn is greater than or equal to 2 rho. Say it is your equation number 1. Now we apply the parallelogram law for xn xm, because xn and xm both are belongs to m. So we apply the parallelogram law by parallelogram law for xn and xm. We have the norm of xn plus xm whole square, the norm of xm minus xn whole square, which is equal to twice time the norm of xn square plus twice time the norm of xm square. Okay, now transfer this particular term on the right hand side. The norm of xn minus xm whole square, which is equal to twice time the norm of xn square plus twice time the norm of xm square minus norm of xm plus xn whole square. Now using the equation number 1, this is becomes 2 times the norm of xn square plus 2 times the norm of xn square minus this is equal to 4 times rho square. So using this relation, this equality becomes inequality format, and taking limit m and n tending to infinity here, then we have the norm of xm minus xn whole square is less than or equal to 2 rho square plus 2 rho square minus 4 rho square. Here we take the limit m comma n tending to infinity. So this portion becomes 0. This portion becomes 0, and here we observe that because this part is 0, so we observe that our sequence xn becomes here Cauchy sequence. The xn becomes Cauchy sequence. Hence the sequence xn is a Cauchy sequence in M. Now, since M is closed subset of a Hilbert space. M is a closed convex subset of a Hilbert space. Now since M is a closed subspace, since M is a closed subspace of Hilbert space X, or you can specify it is a subspace of a Banach space, and we know that the Banach space means it is your complete. Okay, so it is a closed subspace. So what it implies? It implies that M is complete. Now the M is complete. Why it is complete? Because M is a closed subspace of a Banach space, and we know that a closed subspace of a complete metric space is a complete here. Okay, so it is your complete. It implies that our Xn converges in M, that is, there exists a vector X belongs to M such that the limit n tends to infinity xn equal to x. Okay. Now since we know that the inner product is continuous, so using the continuity of the inner product, we write this row, it is equal to limit n tending to infinity norm of xn, which is equal to limit n tending to infinity norm of xn, which is equal to norm of x, which is equal to rho. Hence we get the required result. Now we prove that the uniqueness, because in our lemma the uniqueness vector, so uniqueness, for the uniqueness we need the two distinct point, and at the end of the proof we prove that these 2 points are same. So let here x1 and x2, they are distinct points in the set M such that the norm of x1, it is equal to norm of x2, which is equal to rho, according to this condition. Now we apply the parallelogram law. By the parallelogram law, for x1 and x2, we have the norm of x1 minus x2 whole square, which is equal to twice time the norm of x1 square plus twice time norm of x2 square minus norm of x1 minus x2 plus x1 whole square. Now using the equation number 1 again, then this is equal to less than or equal to 2 times rho square minus 4 rho square. It will be cancelled. It implies that the norm of x1 minus x2 whole square, which is less than or equal to 0. So it is contradict, the norm is always greater than or equal to 0. So it implies that x1 it is equal to x2. You conclude that. How you conclude that? Because this quantity is lesser than or equal to 0 is impossible. So you can take, it should be greater than or equal to 0 or equal to 0. The norm of 2 points, norm is equal to 0. It implies that the using this concept, the norm of x it is equal to 0. It implies and implied that, or if not leave the x it is equal to 0. So x1 minus x2 it is equal to 0. It implies that x1 it is equal to x2. Hence uniqueness is proof in this article. Thank you. We discuss the lemma number 2. In the lemma number 2, let M be a closed subspace of a Hilbert space X, and X is not a member of M, that is X does not belongs to M, let the distance between x and m, it is denoted by d. It is infimum of norm of x minus u, where u is a member of m. Then there exists a unique vector w in m such that the norm of x minus w, it is equal to d. Now we prove this lemma in a very simple way. The proof by the definition of distance x to m, distance x to m, we have d is equal to infimum for m, u belongs to m, norm of x minus u for all x does not belongs to m. Now then there must exist a vector, then there must exist a vector, then there must exist a sequence yn in sequence of vectors yn in m such that the norm of x minus yn tending to d as n tending to infinity. This is obvious because here we are taking the distance, so this distance is closer, so it becomes to be n. Now consider two vectors. Here we consider two vectors. First one is yn and second one is yn. Then we consider two vectors yn and ym. Since C is linear subspace, since M is a subspace, that is, it is your linear subspace, therefore the ym plus yn divided by 2 belongs to M, obviously, because by the definition of the subspace, the ax plus by belongs to the whole set. So here we assume that a and b, they are equal to 1 by 2, therefore it becomes to be ym plus yn belongs to M. Now by the definition of d, we can write the norm of x minus ym plus yn divided by 2 is greater than or equal to d, or you just write down the 2x minus ym plus yn is greater than or equal to 2d. Say it is your equation number 1. Now we apply the parallelogram law. We apply parallelogram law to prove this theorem by parallelogram law. We have the parallelogram law apply for this term x minus ym, and next is x minus yn. We apply the parallelogram law for these 2 points. Then we have norm of x minus yn plus norm of x minus ym whole square plus the norm of x minus yn minus x minus ym whole square, which is equal to twice time the norm of x minus yn whole square plus twice time x minus ym whole square. We apply this parallelogram law. Now, we simplify the result. The yn minus ym whole square, because this term, plus 2x minus yn minus ym whole square. We simplify this result, minus minus plus, okay, which is equal to 2 times the norm of xn minus x minus yn x minus ym whole square. Now again we simplify. This is equal to the norm of yn minus ym whole square, which is equal to 2 times the norm of x minus ym whole square x minus yn whole square minus norm of 2x minus ym plus yn whole square, because this term is transferred on the right hand side. Now using the relation number 1 or equation number 1, then we have 2 norm of x minus ym whole square plus 2x minus yn whole square minus, this is equal to 4d square. Here we using lesser than or equal to. Now taking limit m comma n tending to infinity both the side, then we have the limit m comma n tending to infinity norm of yn minus ym, which is lesser than or equal to 2d square plus 2d square minus 4d square, which is equal to 0, because we know that the limit as m tending to infinity and n tending to infinity, these two terms tends to d, so that it becomes to be d square and d square. That is, we have already established by the definition of d the norm of x minus ym tending to d as m tending to infinity. Similarly for this one, so it is equal to 0. So what it implies? It implies that the sequence yn is a Cauchy sequence. It implies that the sequence yn is a Cauchy sequence in M. The Cauchy sequence in M, and since M is closed, subspace of X, therefore M is complete. Now, if it is a complete, then it implies that limit n tending to infinity, the sequence yn converges to a point y0 in M. So continuity of norm or continuity of the inner product, we have the norm of x minus y0, which is equal to the norm of x minus limit n tending to infinity yn, which is equal to the limit n tending to infinity norm of xn minus yn, but this is nothing but it is equal to d. So we have the d, it is equal to x minus y0, where y0 is a vector in M. Now we prove that the uniqueness, because in our lemma we show that this expression y0 is unique vector in this set M. So how we can prove that uniqueness? So using the previous lemma concept, we can prove that it is unique. So let here 2 points y1 and y2. Uniqueness, let here y1 and y2 belongs to M such that the y1 is not equal to y2 and d equal to norm of x minus y1 x minus y2. This is your point, and since M is subspace, therefore the y1 plus y2 belongs to M, and using the definition of D, the 2x minus y1 plus y2 is greater than or equal to 2d. Again we apply the parallelogram law. For y1 and y2. That is, repeat the same process. Again we solve the parallelogram law for y1 and y2. That is your you can say that y1 minus y2 whole square, which is less than or equal to 4d square minus 4d square. We skip this proof because already done the such type of the thing in the previous lemma, and this is equal to 0. Again the same argument, the y1 becomes to be y2. So we have the uniqueness is proved in this lemma. So lemma 1 and lemma 2 is related. Thank you. Discuss the lemma number 3. Let M be a proper closed subset of a Hilbert space X, then there exists a non-zero vector u belongs to X such that u is perpendicular to M. In the previous two lemma, with the help of the previous two lemma, we established the proof of this lemma number 3 here. Now we assume that, let here the proof is, let here X does not the member of M, and we define the row, it is equal to infimum B belongs to M such that the norm of X minus V, that is, we find out the distance between the element and the set, and it is denoted by the row here. Then by lemma 2, there exists a unique vector or unique element W belongs to M such that the norm of X minus W, it is equal to rho. Already we established this result in the previous lemma, so we directly use the previous lemma. Then there exists, we find out a unique element W belongs to M such that the X minus W, it is equal to rho here. Now let here U, it is equal to X minus W, where U is not equal to 0 as rho is greater than 0, because the X minus W is equal to rho and U is not equal to 0, it means that the rho is greater than equal to 0. In other words, if we take U is 0 then x minus w it is equal to 0 according to this definition. So rho is, so the norm of x minus w which is equal to 0, it implies that our rho is 0 here. So here we consider the rho is greater than 0. Now we show that the u is perpendicular to m. So it is enough to prove that the inner product of u comma any element of m which is equal to 0 by the definition of the perpendicular condition. That means we take the inner product of u and element of m, then it is equal to 0. So for this we consider any arbitrary element, any element y which is equal to m. This is your arbitrary element, such that the inner product of u comma y which is equal to 0, it implies that the u is perpendicular to m. Now for any scalar alpha, alpha belongs to f, we compute this part u minus alpha y. Okay, we already know that the two vectors are mutually perpendicular, then one vector can be expressed as a scalar multiplication of another vector, then it is also perpendicular to each other. If anyhow we can show that this norm is 0, the norm of this quantity is 0, that is u minus alpha y is equal to 0, then we say that u and y they are orthogonal, that is perpendicular, and we establish this result here. So we compute this term. So u minus alpha y which is equal to the norm of u is here x minus w minus alpha y, again we simplify, this is x minus w plus alpha y. Okay, clear? Now we think about this element. Here we assume that the w is the element of the w is the element of m, and we take any arbitrary element y belongs to m. So this term belongs to m. Why? Because m is given, it is a proper subspace, the proper closed subspace, proper closed, not subset, it is your subspace. Okay, sorry, it is your proper closed subspace. So x minus w plus alpha y belongs to m. So since m is a subspace of Hilbert space, since m is a subspace of Hs, then w plus alpha y belongs to m. It belongs to m. Obviously it belongs to m here. Now this w u minus norm of u minus alpha y which is greater than or equal to rho, and this rho is nothing but it is norm of u, because this distance is greater than rho here, this part is greater than rho, and rho it is equal to norm of x minus w, and x minus w it is equal to u minus x minus w, so that this part is greater than w here. Okay, so again we solve this portion. it is equal to the u minus alpha y minus norm of u, which is greater than 0. We are taking the square both the side, rho square, rho square. So obviously this part is greater than 0. Now we solve this result. We solve this result. In this way, you can take the norm of u minus alpha y whole square minus norm of u square, which is equal to the inner product of u minus alpha y minus inner product of u comma u, okay, and this quantity should be greater than 0. Now using the linearity property and several properties, that means we solve it here. Just you can solve one step here, so you can understand better way. Minus this is u minus alpha y comma alpha y minus norm of inner product of u comma u, which is greater than or equal to 0, okay, which is greater than or equal to 0. Okay. Again we simplify. This is linearity property u comma u minus alpha inner product of y comma u minus alpha bar u comma y minus minus plus modulus of alpha square minus inner product of u comma u, which should be greater than 0 here. Okay. Now this portion and this portion is cancel out, then we have result is minus alpha inner product of y comma u minus alpha bar u comma y plus modulus of alpha square, one term is missing here, just you can write down here, alpha square inner product of y comma y minus u comma u, it should be greater than 0, it should be greater than 0. So this is y comma y, it should be greater than 0 here. Okay. Now we substitute here. You can take this is okay, this part is clear. Now putting here alpha, it is equal to beta times the inner product of u comma b, u comma y, not b, where beta is real number. Beta is real number. You can understand. So you can take alpha bar. Alpha bar is beta y comma u, because using the conjugate symmetric property, this can be written as y comma u, okay, or this is alpha bar, it is equal to beta u comma y bar. So we substitute this value, this is y comma u, putting the value of alpha and alpha bar in this relation. We substitute the value of alpha and alpha bar here in this relation. So this is equal to minus alpha. What is your alpha? Alpha is beta inner product of u comma y, then y comma u, okay, minus alpha bar. Alpha bar is again beta u comma y, okay, beta bar. Alpha bar, it is equal to, just you can put that bar, then u comma y, you can take the bar here. So this y comma u, it is equal to u comma y, u comma y, okay. Then the next term is plus mod of alpha square inner product of y comma y it should be greater than equal to 0 here. Then observe that here. Oh, I think it is alpha bar. So it is your, you can write down here, this is minus beta u comma y bar minus beta u comma y inner product u comma y bar plus norm of alpha square mod of alpha square y comma y, which should be greater than 0 here. So we know that the z into z bar, it is equal to mod of z square. Z into z bar, it is mod of z square. So this is minus 2 beta mod of z means u comma u whole square. These two terms. Okay. Then the next term is mod of alpha square. The y comma y, it should be greater than 0 here. Now here we assume that a it is equal to, we put here a it is equal to u comma y and b it is equal to norm of y square. Then we have just 1 minute here again the mod of alpha square. Okay. So it is equal to minus 2 beta b square a plus beta square ab. That means you can substitute, this is equal to a, this part is equal to a, this part is equal to a minus 2 beta a minus beta square a, which is greater than or equal to 0. Okay. Now you can take beta a is common, then we have beta b minus 2, which should be greater than 0. Now we conclude that if a is greater than 0, then this equation 2 is false. Obviously equation 2 is false for sufficiently small value of beta. For small value of beta, sufficiently small value of beta, this is false. So this is false, it means that your a false, positive value of beta, hence a must be 0, hence a must be 0. Okay. Now you can take the positive, small value of the positive, this is contradict part. So a must be 0, a means this must be 0, this must be 0 means the inner product of y comma u, it is equal to 0. So u is perpendicular to y, so y is the element of M, so u is perpendicular to M, hence the proof of this lemma. We start the lemma number 4. Okay. Now what is the statement of the lemma number 4? The M and N are the closed subspace of a Hilbert space X such that M is perpendicular to N. The subspace M plus N, it is the set defined in this format, the X belongs to M and Y belongs to N, is also closed. Okay. Now the proof of this theorem is split in two parts. First part, we show that this is a subspace of a Hilbert space, and second we prove that the closeness. For the subspace, proof of the subspace, we use the definition of the subspace. Just we recall here, suppose your X is linear space and M is a subset of X, then this M is said to be subspace of X if and only A and B, they are the any scalar member, that is they belongs to capital F, F is here field, okay, and X and Y are the two elements of M such that the AX plus BY belongs to M. Just we recall the definition of the subspace. What is your subspace? X is a linear space, M is a subset of X, A and B are any two scalar elements, x and y belongs to M, such that your Ax plus By belongs to M here. With the help of this concept, we prove that first the M plus N is a subspace, then we prove that closeness property or closed property here. So first we prove that M plus N is a subspace. Okay. Now let here alpha and beta belongs to M plus N, where the any two elements be any two elements, so alpha can be split in two parts, alpha plus alpha 1 plus alpha 2, and beta can be split in two parts, beta 1 and beta 2. Okay, where alpha 1 and beta 1 belongs to M, and alpha 2 and beta 2 belongs to M. They are the two elements. Now let here A and B belongs to F, then A alpha plus B beta, which is equal to A times alpha 1 plus alpha 2 plus B times beta 1 plus beta 2. Okay. Now we solve A alpha 1 plus B beta 1 plus A alpha 2 plus B beta 2. Obviously the addition is well defined in this set. Now again, this is the element of M, with the help of this definition. So A alpha 1 plus B beta 1 belongs to M, since M is subspace of HSX, and A alpha 2 plus B beta 2 belongs to N, because N is subspace of HS in HSX, already given. So this term, the whole term, because this belongs to M, this belongs to M, so whole term, that is this expression, that is A alpha plus B beta belongs to M plus N. So here we start from this point, we take the alpha and beta belongs to M plus N, we take two arbitrary constants, we calculate this term with the help of previous results already discussed in the graduation level. This is the element of M, this is the element of N. M and N both are the subspaces, so that this expression belongs to M, this expression belongs to N. So whole expression belongs to M plus N here. Now we establish the closeness. The second part, the subspace, is proved here. Next part is we prove that it is closed. So it is enough to show that the limit point is exist in the same set, then we prove that it is closed. So how we can prove that? It is enough to show that closeness, it is enough to show that the limit point of M plus N, the limit point of M plus N is in the same set, is in it. So we take any arbitrary limit point in the M plus N and we show that it exists in the same set. So then there exists a sequence, Zn of the points in M plus N, such that the limit n tending to infinity Zn equal to Z, that is the Zn converges to Z as n tending to infinity. Now the another point is here given the m and n are perpendicular. Since m is perpendicular to n, so therefore it implies that the m intersection n is singleton, 0. Obviously they are the mutually perpendiculars, so the intersection of these two set is 0. So every Zn belongs to m plus n, we can write uniquely, an unique expression like that, this one unique expression Zn is equal to xn plus yn, where xn belongs to m and yn belongs to m, because the set is defined in this format. Now by the Pythagoras theorem, just we write down the short in this form. By the Pythagoras theorem, we calculate this term, the norm of Zn minus Zm whole square. The value of Zn is xn plus yn minus xm plus ym whole square, which is equal to xn minus xm whole square plus yn minus ym whole square. Since the m is perpendicular to n, so every element of m is perpendicular to every element of n here, that is the inner product of element of m with element of y, it is equal to 0, so that the inner product of xn comma yn is 0 and inner product of xn comma ym is 0 here. So this is 0 now by the Pythagoras theorem, and since our assumption in this proof the Zn converges to Z, so this norm is 0. So Zn converges to Z is convergent, so it is a Cauchy sequence, and Zn minus Zm whole square tending to 0 as m and n tending to infinity. So this portion is 0, it means that this is individually 0, hence the xn minus xm tends to 0 as m and n tending to infinity. Similarly yn minus ym tending to 0 as m and n tending to infinity. Okay, so what it implies? It implies that our xn and yn are Cauchy sequence in m and n respectively, and m is see m and n are closed subspace. Since m and n are closed subspace, it is a closed subspace of a Hilbert space or Banach space. So it implies that M and N are complete. M and N are the complete. So M and N are is complete. So what it implies? It implies that our sequence Xn converges to X and Yn converges to Y as n tending to infinity. So Xn and Yn converges to X and Y, and since Xn is the sequence in M and Yn is the sequence in N, so definitely it is the element of N here. So we write down here Z, it is equal to limit n tending to infinity Zn, but Zn is your limit n tending to infinity Xn plus Yn, or this can be written as X plus Y, because Xn goes to X and Yn goes to Y as n tending to infinity. Z, this is belongs to M plus N, hence this Z belongs to M plus N, that is Z is the limit point of this set, therefore this is closed here. Thank you.